All right, if you're a new HVAC and chilled water technician starting on an Aramco project, then this is for you. We're going to walk through your complete guide, covering every single critical step from the moment you get those drawings to the final system handover. Let's get into it.
So you're all set to head to the site. You've got your wrenches, your level, maybe your welding gear, all the tools you think you need to get the job done, right? You're ready to start building. But hold on a second. Before you touch a single pipe or tighten a single bolt, your most critical tools are actually paper. That's right. On an Aramco site, understanding the paperwork isn't just a good idea. It's the absolute foundation of every single thing you will do. So think of this first part as your mission briefing. These aren't just boring papers. They're your map, they're your instruction manual, and they're your guarantee for quality work. Mastering these documents is step one to a successful project.
Okay, let's break it down. You're going to be dealing with 4 main documents every single day. First, the HVAC P&ID. That's your map for the entire system. The method statement, that's your approved step-by-step instructions. The shop drawing is basically your assembly manual with all the exact dimensions. And finally, the ITP, the inspection and test plan. That's the quality checklist that you and the inspector will sign off on at every single stage.
Now, let me be absolutely crystal clear about this. You might see drawings stamped with IFR for review, or maybe you'll see older versions floating around. Ignore them. The only drawing that matters is the one stamped IFC, issued for construction. Building from anything else is a huge violation that guarantees you'll be tearing your work out and doing it all over again. And that brings us to our very first golden rule, and honestly, it's the most important one. Always, and I mean always, follow the approved IFC drawing. No exceptions. This one rule will keep you and the project out of a world of trouble.
Okay, so let's dive into this. Knowing you need to use the IFC drawing is one thing, but knowing how to actually read it, well, that's where the real skill comes in.
Before you even think about picking up a tool, you need to scan that P&ID for these 5 critical things. First, identify the equipment tags. Which air handling unit or which pump are you actually working on? Find the line numbers and sizes so you get the right materials. And this is crucial. Trace the flow direction arrows. Locate every single valve and pinpoint all the high point vents and low point drains.
Now, check this out. It's a simple little detail, but it is so important. On the drawing, things like check valves or strainers will have an arrow. That arrow on the physical valve you're holding must point in the same direction as the flow arrow on the pipe in the drawing. You'd be surprised how often this gets installed backward, and it's one of the most common and easily avoidable mistakes out there. All right, let's head out to the site. Now we take all that info from the documents and we turn it into reality. This is where precision and paying attention to the small stuff really counts.
You know, we build from the ground up. First, you're going to use the approved shop drawing to mark the exact locations for your pipe supports. Next, you double-check your ITP to confirm you're using the correct type of anchor bolts. Only then do you start installing the pipes. And you have to make sure you have the correct slope so your vents are at the highest points and your drains are at the lowest. Here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. On the left, you see 2 huge mistakes. The valve's installed backward, fighting the flow, and the handle is totally jammed up against the wall, impossible to operate. On the right, it's done professionally. The valve arrow matches the P&ID, and there's plenty of room to actually use it. One way creates a maintenance nightmare. The other way is a job you can be proud of. And what happens if a QA/QC, that's a quality assurance inspector, finds an installation like the one on the left? You're going to get this, an NCR, a non-conformance report. That's a formal quality failure. It means you stop work, you rip out what you did, and you do it all over again. And that costs everyone time and money. Before we go any further, let's hit pause for a critical safety reminder. Your personal safety is the #1 priority, period. Your full PPE, hard hat, safety shoes, vest, gloves, and goggles. It's mandatory at all times. And always be aware of what's around you. Never do hot work like welding near any flammable materials. And this brings us to our second golden rule. Before you do anything that can't be easily undone, like putting on insulation, you must get the green light from your QA/QC inspector. They need to see your welds, your supports, your insulation. Get their signature on that ITP before you cover up your work. Okay, now for the moment of truth. All of your careful, precise work has led to this, the pressure test. This is where we prove the system is strong, secure, and completely leak-free. A successful test is all about meticulous preparation. First, flush the entire network so it's clean of any debris. Then, securely cap off every single open end. Slowly fill the system with water, and, this is so critical, bleed every last bubble of air from all the high point vents. If you leave air trapped in there, it'll compress and give you a false reading, which will fail your test. So how much pressure are we talking about here? According to Aramco standards like SASB 068, the test pressure is 1.5 times the system's normal design pressure. This is how we prove the integrity of every single joint, every weld, and every fitting. And here it is, our final golden rule. The test is not officially complete until the results, the start pressure, the end pressure, the duration, are all recorded on the official ITP form and signed. You gotta remember, on an Aramco project, if it isn't documented, it basically never happened. You passed the pressure test. Fantastic job. But you're not done yet. The final phase is all about cleaning, finishing, and properly documenting the system for the operations team that takes over. So once that pressure test is signed off, the system gets flushed and cleaned. Next up is thermal insulation, along with all the required labels and flow arrows. After that, you'll support the commissioning team during the equipment startup, and this is when you'll make your red line markups, which leads to the final handover. So what exactly is a red line drawing? Well, it's a copy of the IFC that you mark up with any little changes that were made on site. Maybe a valve had to be shifted a few inches for better access. These red lines are incredibly important. They become the source of truth for the final as-built drawings, which is the permanent record that maintenance teams will rely on for years to come. So we'll leave you with this final thought. You can be the best welder or the most precise pipe fitter on the entire site, but on an Aramco project, the quality of your installation and the quality of your documentation are totally inseparable. So ask yourself, is your paperwork as perfect as your physical work?